guys, welcome back to your professional diploma in fitness and weight loss, and we are on to the very last practical lesson of module 2, which is all about programming circuits. But before we get started, guys, just as usual, give me a quick yes or hello if you can hear me, and if you're not, hopefully you're reading the screen and you're typing no, so the support team can help anyone having any issues whatsoever. So let's get stuck in, guys, and have a look at what we're going to learn in today's practical lesson. We're going to look at anaerobic threshold, the dark place, and really being able to judge your own limits and the limits of others if you're coaching people, because again, it has to be challenging, doable and enjoyable if we're going to get consistent results long term. We're also going to look at different types of circuits. So whether they're going to be using strength circuits, aerobic circuits, mixed circuits or anaerobic circuits. And then we're also going to look at programming specific types of circuits. So not just strength, mixed and anaerobic, but we'll also look at things like AMRAP for time workouts, split circuits, and a number of different ways we can program for different results. So let's get stuck in. So what are the risks of not knowing your limits, or not knowing how to program for circuits, or not knowing how to find the magic zone in your HIIT training? Well, there's a few obvious ones, guys. What do you think, though? 5 or 10 seconds. Shout out some answers. What if we're tipping into our dark zone too much, dark place too much? What happens? What are the risks of not knowing how to stay in our limits or stay within our conditioning limits when it comes to finding our magic zone, whatever workout we're doing? What's going to happen in the workout? Heat stroke. Heat stroke's a good one especially if you're working out in heat, Jen. Injury. Yeah, there's definitely a risk of injury, but I wouldn't say it's not even that serious when it comes to discouragement, saying Gordon. That's a good one. Yeah. So discouragement. A couple of people saying burn out quick, very good. Oh, Jen says I live in Vegas. Yeah, too right then, yeah. Muscle fatigue too quickly, very good. Pass out, yeah, that's a definite possibility. Dizzy, sick, nauseous, all that kind of stuff. Exactly, guys. So first main one is, you're going to burn out too quickly. You're going to burn out too quickly. If you're tipping into your anaerobic threshold, the dark place, and you're trying to work for 40, 50 seconds a minute, and that energy system can only work for 10 seconds, you're going to burn out much too quickly. But the other more serious one is you're not actually working the correct energy system. We talk about the magic zone. We talk about our anaerobic energy system as probably being the most important system, especially for, someone who's just trying to get in shape and feel good and boost their energy levels, because really between our aerobic and our anaerobic energy system, that's where we're getting all our benefits. That's where we're getting our fat loss. That's where we're getting our shape. That's where we're getting our energy levels. That's where we're reducing stress. Remember that dark place, the ATP PC energy system, is really very sport specific. So unless we're training for something very, very specific, we don't want to get there. So we're not going to then gain the correct progression at the right pace, and then this can negatively affect our strength gains, or negatively affect our fitness gains, or negatively affect the results we want down the line. Okay? So when we talk about HIIT training, we're talking about your metabolism. We're talking about conditioning your metabolism. That's where it came from, metabolic conditioning. And we're talking about knowing where your limits are, and your limits as in staying within your magic zone and not going to the dark place. So when it comes to pushing your limits, at what point are you no longer benefiting from your training? Well, we know it is when we're tipping into that dark place too much and you're not using the correct energy system. So how do we solve this? How do we actually solve this problem by not pushing too hard and staying within our magic zone? Quite simple. Okay, quite simple. So I've no drop down. I normally have a nice drop down menu there. I'm going to go through them point by point. So let me just grab my pen. So first of all, guys, we're going to warm up correctly. Okay. So again, first couple of rounds, take it nice and easy. We might have a pre-warm-up. We might have a warm-up routine where we're doing, my 10 squats, 10 press-ups, 200-meter row, or 200-meter run, and you do 2 or 3 rounds of that to get warm, nice, easy pace. Or if you're going straight into a 15, 20-minute HIIT workout, then you may just literally, take it nice and easy for the first 2 rounds before we're entering the magic zone, okay? So that's the important one. Make sure we're warming up correctly. We're not just going too intense too quickly and creating what's known as oxygen debt, where our body has to catch up, and then we go flying into our dark place without knowing it, and then stopping us 3 or 4 minutes into our workout.
The next one is obviously using a realistic Metcon or metabolic conditioning or HIIT workout. Okay, so when we talk about this, and we're going to go through a few different kind of Metcons, HIIT type training. But, you know, are you going to pair 2 exercises together? Are you going to pair 3 exercises together? Are you going to do a circuit? Are you going to stick with a normal HIIT training, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off? What are you actually going to do? What can you handle for your fitness level? If you actually aren't ready to start pairing exercises together, you may still be working on your HIIT interval. So 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off. And when you eventually get that down to, you know, very, very short recovery, that's when you can start maybe looking at pairing exercises together. Okay? The first time you do a conditioning circuit or a couplet or triplet, and we will go over this a little later, you know, do a body weight. Just because you've been doing certain exercises weighted, now you're going to make a circuit, doesn't necessarily going to be able to do those same weights in the circuit. So test a new workout, especially if it's a conditioning workout, with body weight only at first. So even if you're used to squatting 30 or 40 kilos, if you're now going to do a workout and it's going to be 10 squats, 10 pull-ups, 10 press-ups, and a 100-meter run, well, you're not going to choose 40 kilos because now you have 3 other exercises to do it. Choose lower and upper body exercises. So what way are you going to do it? Are we going to just do one in the week and then do our normal HIIT training? So are we doing HIIT strength, HIIT cardio, and then maybe testing our conditioning with one of these other types of workouts like an AMRAP or for time? So then we might do a full body workout because the rest of the week we have our upper and lower covered with our HIIT training. Are we going to start replacing all our HIIT training with these other types of metabolic conditioning? So AMRAPs and for time workouts and things like that. So it really depends on, you know, what mix you're using throughout the week, how you split it, and we will talk about that. So you can stick with your HIIT most of the week and throw these in the odd time, or if you really like these type of workouts, then you can start replacing a lot of the HIIT that you learn at first as a beginner with some of these different types of circuits. So you may start changing the fitter and the stronger you get. So would a random setting on a treadmill or a HIIT running for 6 minutes be considered a good warm-up? Not really a random setting, but something you're comfortable with. Something very, very easy, but it's getting your heart rate up a little bit and warming up your body. So you're trying to get warmer. So you're trying to get blood into the muscle, you're trying to get your heart pumping a little bit harder, and you're trying to get movement in the joints. They're the 3 things we want in a warm-up. You know, movement in the joints, heart rate up a little bit, and feeling warmer. If we can get that in, you can do that with anything. You can do that with, you know, 100, 200 meter kind of run, then some squats, then some walking lunges, you know, then some jumping jacks, and repeat that. Anything works that kind of gets all your joints moving, your heart pumping, and get warmed up a little bit. Yeah? That all right? Perfect. And the secret to good conditioning, guys, is always avoiding burnout. So the biggest mistake people make by trying to progress in their metabolic conditioning or their conditioning workouts, and HIIT is one style, but overall metabolic conditioning is many different types of HIIT training. So we have high intensity interval training, AMRAPs for time, circuits, EMOMs. So it's a more general term for all of that more intense training. We're trying to avoid burnout. We're trying to avoid the dark place, because if we're trying to get good at a HIIT workout, or trying to get good at an AMRAP workout, or trying to get good at for time workout, we don't want to have a 15-minute workout, but 7 minutes in have to stop. So we're trying to set a pace for ourselves that we can actually last the 15 minutes. And then, as we improve within that workout, then we can start to increase the intensity. Now, guys, I know some of this might make a whole lot of sense until I show you the workouts later on, but it's just a rough guideline on judging your limits overall. So it's about warming up correctly. What type of metabolic conditioning are we going to do? Have we tested it before? If not, we're going to use body weight exercises. Are we going to use upper or lower exercises? Are we doing HIIT, AMRAP for time, EMOM? What type of workout are we doing? And then are we making sure that we're avoiding that burnout early on in that workout? Because if we're not avoiding the burnout, we're going into the wrong energy system. Now guys, does that kind of make sense for how we're going to judge our limits before I move forward? Okay, good stuff. All good so far. Yeah, it does. Okay, perfect. Brilliant. Now, all good. You guys are always great. I don't seem to confuse as much. Sometimes I do, I know. If I give you 5 different types of workouts in 3 weeks, I know that sometimes confuses you. But I just like to mix it up there and you can try. Like, I'm a big believer of trying stuff in fitness and just having a bit of fun with it. So I like to give workouts and give different stuff that you can try, but obviously stick with some sort of plan for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks like I always say. So pick whatever you're doing, and then obviously you can always go back on these practical lessons and look at them, yeah? Perfect. So pacing and recovery. So let's talk about, once we get into the workout, how do we really actually get through the workout? So let's say we start a workout. Let's say we're starting some sort of circuit, and we'll go through this in a second. And I'm going to have a video example of me when I was a skinny dude a couple of years ago. Much skinnier than I am now. So first 2 rounds go nice and easy. Try and find your rhythm. Try and find your pace. And make sure you're not going too hard. Find your exercise transition pace. Now this is very, very important, okay? See this one, guys. Find your exercise transition pace. So many people think because it's a conditioning circuit, or it's a high intensive interval training circuit, or it's an AMRAP, that you have to be going from one exercise to the next exercise in a split second. You have to be doing it in like 2 seconds. Now guys, it's perfectly okay if it takes you 10 seconds to get from the end of one exercise to the start of another exercise, especially if you're doing something like a pull-up into a heavier squat. Because you have to set the bar properly, on your shoulders, you have to lift it off, you have to step back, you have to make sure your feet in the right position, and then when you're ready, you have to start it. That may take 10 or 15 seconds. That is not rest time by all means. That is you setting up for the exercise. So find your exercise transition pace in every new workout you do. Figure out in the first 2 rounds how long is it comfortably taking you to go from one exercise to the next exercise with perfect form. We're looking for perfect form. Okay? That's the first really important thing in those first 2 or 3 rounds we want to find. Your exercise transition pace. Alright? Very, very important one. No one ever talks about that. I'm just realizing how good a point that is. It's very, very good. It's a very good point. I'm very proud of that point. Sorry. So the next one is finding your round pace. So now you've found your exercise transition pace. Now we're going to find our round pace. So let's say we're doing 10 squats, 10 press-ups, 10 pull-ups. And the first couple of rounds we're going easy. In that first round, we found our transition pace for the exercises. So now we're trying to find our round pace. How much time do we need to take at the end of the round before we go into the next round? Can we actually use an exercise transition pace that's similar to the end of a round going into the next round? So can we actually take 10 or 15 seconds here, and that will allow us to keep going in round, without taking too long of a rest? Or do we need to take a little extra time at the end of each round? So sometimes you might need to take extra time at the end of each round, and sometimes you can actually do the same transition pace if you pace it well enough for yourself. Okay? If you're using a heavier movement, for those intermediate advanced people, if you're using a heavier squat, and let's say in the first 3 or 4 rounds you're maybe squatting 10 reps at 50 kilos or something like that, but all of a sudden you're 4 or 5 rounds in, and now you can't complete all 10 reps in a row. Now you're going to have to break that up to 5 reps, rest, another 5 reps. And that's okay. Because again, this is about improving our overall conditioning through different exercises. So something that in the first 4 rounds you're able to do with no rest, The last few rounds, you may need to take extra rest in between even the reps. So if you're doing 10 squats, 10 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, let's say the first few rounds you're getting your 10 pull-ups, but the last few rounds you're not. So you're not going to just do 5 and move on. You're going to do 5, rest for a few seconds, might get another 5, and then you can go on to the next exercise, yeah? So break up the reps when needed, okay? When needed. Your idea is to be almost recovered between rounds, but not fully. So as you're going through the rounds, those last few rounds are going to be a lot more challenging than the first few rounds. But you're still trying to save a little extra for that last round, so you can push hard in that last round. And you can tip the edge of the dark zone, but not go into it, hopefully. So that's how we're going to use pacing and recovery to get through a workout, especially if it's a metabolic conditioning workout. Okay? So let's look at an example of that. Let's look at an outdoor workout I was doing a couple of years ago as a skinnier lad. This was last year when I was about 5 kilos lighter. So if you look at me here, I think it's 5 clean and jerk each side. And then I think I do 10 burpees and I do a 50-meter run. Now, if you look at my pacing, I'm not going very fast, but I do have a couple of seconds in between each exercise to get my pacing. All right? So nice and steady. Each round and each rep is one steady pace. So I pretty much move straight in to the burpees, but no jump with the burpee. I'm just doing a standing burpee. And then I try and keep a steady pace in all those reps, so the first one's not faster than the last one. It's nice and steady. And then once I do this, I think I take a couple of seconds before the hill sprint, and I do a hill sprint. At the end of each round, I was taking about, I think, 30 seconds rest. So you go pretty much straight into this. I accelerate up the hill. Little extra acceleration up the hill. And then I come down nice, easy pace. So, easy pace down to recover. No, it wasn't that easy pace. And take it through, I think I was taking 30 seconds rest and then going back into the round. But it was a 15-minute AMRAP, as many rounds as possible. I think I got 6 rounds in, and I kept that pace for the full 15 minutes. But the last 2 rounds were very, very challenging compared to the first round. All right, I think that was the second round that I recorded. So as you can see, there was a couple of seconds in between each exercise, a little longer rest time at the end, and I tried to keep that pace. I tried to keep the rounds about 2 minutes, possibly. So I should have got 7 rounds, but I think I slowed down on that last round. I might have needed an extra minute rest on that last round before I went into it. So that's pacing so you can stay in your magic zone, stay out of the dark place. All right? So if we look at that again, it's about taking it easy for the first couple of rounds, finding your exercise transition pace, finding your round pace. Are you going to take a little extra time at the end of the round, or can you keep going? If you're using heavier movements, you're gonna break up those reps as needed. You're almost going to recover between rounds, but not fully, and save a little extra for that last round if you can. Yeah? Sound good, guys? Now, there's 3 different ways. Actually, any questions on that before we go on? Because we are going to go into the programming circuits now. So before I move on, is there any questions specifically people are wondering about after seeing that when it comes to their own health and fitness? And when it comes to their own programming that I can answer, and if it's not coming up the next couple of slides, I'll answer it. You've all gone quiet again. I think there's a 7-second delay between me asking questions and the actual responses being typed. No, just everyone's all good. Some days I'm not sure. Some days you guys are so talkative, and some days you're quite quiet, just listening and taking in all the information. But everyone seems happy enough. I'll keep moving on. Gordon saying lots to digest. Yeah, there is a good bit in this one to digest when it comes to kind of maybe looking at this and then thinking about your own workouts and individually programming. So, and obviously, guys, for yourself, you know, you're going to really judge it for your own pacing. Really judge it for your own pacing, you know. So, you know, like we can talk about heart rate zones all day, but most of us don't wear a heart rate monitor when we're working out. So the only way to judge it is how we're feeling. And if we're feeling extremely uncomfortable, we're now in a level where our heart rate's too high. Whereas if we're just feeling challenged but we're recovering, then that's, you know, that's our safer zone to really see benefits. So I suppose I'm a big believer that, you know, a lot of the max heart rate zones are pretty much based on how you're feeling. You know, if you're feeling extremely nauseous, you're definitely tipping 85%, 90% max heart rate for longer than 10 or 15 seconds. If you're very, very challenged, you're tipping on 85%. If you're quite challenged, but you're, you know, quite easily recovering, you're between 80 and 85%. So, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, if you can stay at one pace kind of throughout and it's all tough, but you're not taking extra time, you're probably below 80%. So you're probably within that, you know, aerobic zone, maybe tip it into anaerobic a little bit. So it's whatever pace you like to do, though. I always say, pick the pace you like to do. Like, I had a great one the other day. I thought about, actually, I'll say this before I move on. I thought about this the other day, right? And the other way I always compare your body, like taking care of a car, or, you know, learning fitness like learning an instrument, right? And think about when you learn an instrument, sometimes when you're learning an instrument, you're doing specific practice to get better, yeah? So you're doing very specific practice with a very specific goal to get better at that song or that piece of music you're playing. But guys, sometimes when you're playing your instrument, you're just doing it to enjoy it. You're actually just doing it to enjoy it. So there's no particular intensity or there's no particular piece of music you work on. There's no particular skill you're trying to learn that day. You're just trying to enjoy the instrument. Working out is the exact same thing. Sometimes when you're tired, guys, and you want to get a workout in, and the ideas of putting yourself through an intense workout is horrible. But if you think about it, if you just go, well, I just want to go outside and move around a little bit and feel good. Think about it. Sometimes a workout can just literally be about enjoying the workout. So you can stay below all these intense levels and go at a pace that's quite comfortable, but it's going to be way higher than you sitting on the couch. You're going to really, really enjoy the workout, not necessarily specifically massively improve your any energy system or specifically put that, you know, in a massive high calorie burning workout, but you're going to still work out. You're still going to enjoy it. And long term, that workout being in there is going to have a massive effect. Sometimes, guys, a workout is just about enjoying the workout. That's it. Don't worry about the intensity sometimes. Make sense? That was just something that came to me there that I was thinking about. Sitting is the new smoking. Damn right, it's causing serious issues. Now, let's talk about programming. Programming. Mixed. There's 3 ways we can program. A mixed conditioning or metabolic conditioning workout. An aerobic or anaerobic conditioning workout, or a strength hypertrophy type conditioning workout. So although a lot of them are using your aerobic and your anaerobic energy system, we're using different skills. Okay, different skills. So let's look at our aerobic to anaerobic conditioning circuits. Okay? Now you can do an aerobic circuit or an anaerobic circuit or both. An anaerobic exercise, like a box jump, a sprint, a burpee, followed by an aerobic exercise, like an easy jog, that's jog, not job, or an easy job, a skip, or just even walking around for recovery, and then you can do another anaerobic exercise, and then you can do a rest period. So that would be, or you could do aerobic, anaerobic, or you could do aerobic, anaerobic. You just do 2 exercises and then rest. There's a few different ways we can do it, guys. But that's mixing your aerobic and your anaerobic energy system with specific cardiovascular exercise. So you're not using any strength exercises there, really. A lot of them, if you're not going to do them very heavy, okay, squat jumps and squat thrusters, if you do them heavy, will be strengthening. But if you're not doing them that heavy, especially if you're intermediate advanced level, they would be, again, quite cardiovascular. So you're literally doing 3 cardiovascular exercises. So you're literally just trying to improve your heart and your lungs at higher heart rates and maybe burn a few calories. But so the benefits of that is obviously we're going to increase our lung capacity. So a lot of people always ask, what's your VO2 max? A lot of people ask VO2 max. It's the amount of oxygen your lungs can process, as you're training at high levels. So your max oxygen consumption, essentially. That will improve with more aerobic, anaerobic circuits. As you improve that, then, of course, that will improve pacing at high heart rates. It will also improve your aerobic capacity, has a large fat burning effect, and improves your sports performance at short bursts. So if you want to get specifically good at, like, say, soccer or rugby, you're not going to go and do a load of, in your anaerobic aerobic circuit, you're not going to do a load of strength exercises. You're literally going to do a jog, sprint, conditioning circuit. So jog into sprint, into jog, into sprint, into jog, into sprint, to really maximize your acceleration, your speed, and your recovery. Yeah? So it's very specific. And it transfers well to strength and mixed conditioning as well, because the better you get that, and then if you do mixed conditioning and strength conditioning, the better your recovery will be probably in those other 2 circuits. Yeah? Make sense? Okay. Next, a strength-based conditioning circuit. Well, this is very much our HIIT strength. This is very much our HIIT strength, okay? Compound exercise, accessory work is a smaller muscle group, maybe a smaller muscle group. So that's what I give you a lot of the time in our HIIT strength workouts, where we were doing a couple of exercises in a row and then resting, okay? So it might be a squat into a single leg box squat, or we were doing press-ups into dips one day. So 2 strength exercises, 1 big one, 1 small one, 1 ab, 1 even, and then a rest period. So you can do, with circuits, is always 3 or more, or you can do what is known as couplets, which are 2 exercises and then rest period. So you might do squat, reverse lunge, ab exercise, rest. Or bench press, shoulder press, tricep extension, rest period. Yeah? And again, find transition pace, good rest period, but the whole time we're just working strength exercises. So it's not going to massively help improve our anaerobic capacity. It's going to help maximize the time of our strength workouts. That's where we get HIIT strength from. So maximize our workout period in a small time. Yeah? And then, of course, we can mix them. Full recover for next round. The benefits, guys. The benefits, we get strength gain, muscle gain, large work capacity in short time, large fat burn effect, and it is effective cardio anaerobic work as well, because we're not taking much rest time. Yeah? So we're getting a 2-in-1 workout if we can't do both. Yeah? And that's where HIIT strength, that's where HIIT cardio came from, these types of circuits. And then our mixed conditioning circuits, we do a strength exercise. Oh, this is an old one, actually, sorry. So, there's a couple of different ways you can do this, guys. Sorry about this. This was an old slide that I never updated. But essentially, it's what we do in our mixed circuits when we do like, press-ups, then jump rope, then rest. Or we did press-ups, then dips, then jump rope, then rest. This is a very specific mixed circuit where we're doing a strength exercise, which is 3 to 5 reps. Then a hypertrophy exercise, which is 8 to 20, and then an aerobic exercise, which is like aerobic or anaerobic, so you can do jumping jacks or burpee, and then rest. So you're actually getting all 3 of your energy system. This is your ATP PC energy system. This one here, if you're going 3 reps. So we're actually getting ATP PC, anaerobic, aerobic in the rest period, and so on. So we can do a mixed conditioning circuit at an intermediate advanced level where you can actually train all three energy systems, which is something I haven't shown you before. I used to, originally when we had the course, I was going to do a very specific programmed workout, but I never did it, so I took it out, but I never took out that slide. So there's just out of interest. Anyone intermediate advanced, you can do strength, followed by hypertrophy, followed by aerobic and anaerobic, and then a rest period. However, always do the strength exercise first, because you need the most for the strength exercise. Will weighted reverse lunges be a good alternative to weighted thrusters? Yeah, very good. Very good alternative, John. Very good alternative. So what are the benefits of mixed conditioning, guys? It does improve overall conditioning, large work capacity, great for athletic development, large fat burning effect, effective for cardio and strength workouts, and works all three energy systems if you plan it right. If you plan it right. I wonder if I can find a good example of that one. I used to do a lot of those workouts myself. Not these days though. I've been much more enjoying the HIIT strength, HIIT cardio, and a couple of strength specific workouts I've been doing myself. And then lastly, guys, let's talk about programming circuits. Let's talk about programming circuits in general, okay? There's a few different ways you can do metabolic conditioning, okay? You can use EMOM, you can use AMRAP, you can use for time, you can use circuits. There's a couple of others. You can use couplets. I'll explain that now in a second. A lot of this comes down to your preference of these workouts. Because I am what you're looking to do. I think EMOMs are very good if you're trying to improve specific exercises because it's every minute on the minute. So you might perform a squat every 10 reps every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. And if you're very weak at squatting, that type of workout once a week will help you develop your squat very, very quickly over time. However, if you already have good development of a lot of exercises, you may want to do something like AMRAP for time or a circuit where you can actually then pair certain combinations of exercises you like together. So it depends on preference. Let's go through a few of the different ones that you can do. Nearly blew up my computer by spilling water all over it. Okay, so let's talk about the EMOM first of all. So this is every minute on the minute. So you program the amount of reps of one exercise every minute on the minute for a chosen time period. So generally 10 minutes would be minimum, and then you can go up to 15 or 20 minutes. Okay? Now let's say you wanted to get very, very good at squatting. And this would you generally do this at an intermediate level when you're starting to use a lot of weighted exercises, because now you might want to develop your strength very, very effectively, your technique in some of the strength exercises, so it will help you really develop that. So you might do 5 barbell squats of 40 kilos. So that might take you 25 seconds, and then the rest of the minute you're going to take as a rest time. So you're going to take 35 seconds rest, and you're going to continually do that for as long as you can, 10 to 20 minutes. So this helps develop your technique. This helps develop muscle stimulus very, very effectively. And then this helps increase your conditioning between strength and anaerobic capacity. So it's very good for improving technique and work capacity over a short amount of time if you're looking to improve something specific. So anyone at an intermediate advanced level and you're struggling with one exercise, this is a good way to practice it. All right? Good way to practice it. Now, what about AMRAPs? I talk about AMRAPs a lot. We've done AMRAPs in the course a lot, as many rounds as possible. Now, again, your chosen time period can be anything from 10 minutes to 15 to 20 to 25 minutes. Okay? This might be something like 12 squats, 12 press-ups, 12 pull-ups. And what you're doing is you're resting as little as possible over the entire period. So you're trying to perform as many rounds as possible. Now, the best way of doing this is obviously to get your exercise transition pace and your round transition pace quite similar. So you can pretty much go one pace. And as you're able to reduce all of those rest times between each round and between each exercise, you know you're getting fitter and stronger. What you don't want to do is increase the speed of the exercises. The 12 squats, the 12 press-ups, and the 12 pull-ups should all be at the same pace every time you do the workout. The only thing reducing should be your rest time. And if you ever get to a point where you don't need to take any rest for the entire time, then you have to progress the exercises up to the next level by adding weight or doing a more advanced version of the exercise. You understand? So before we go on, guys, are the two of them clear? The benefits of them and why we might use them? AMRAP is obviously great to get a lot of work capacity in over different exercises. And we can do full body, or we can do upper or lower. And we can then really improve our conditioning as well. Really improve our recovery and rest time in between exercises. This is really one of our staple type of workouts, the AMRAPs. Good. Okay. All seems good. All seems good. Now, for time, guys. For time workout, complete the program workout in the quickest time possible. It is quite similar to the AMRAP. The only difference is we're choosing the amount of rounds. So again, you're going to have, as little transition exercise pace as possible, as little round transition pace as possible, but instead of doing it for a specific amount of time, we're trying to do it as quick as possible. Again, we're not actually speeding up any exercise or any rep. The idea is try to get no rest time whatsoever, and that might take whatever, 5 or 7 minutes or whatever it is, and once you get to that point, you progress the exercise where you're forced to put rest time back in, and then again, when you get it back down all the way, then you can do it again and again. So AMRAPs and for time are very, very similar. The only difference is that for time workout, you could actually pick slightly lighter loads if you want to do a shorter workout very intensely. So there's a couple of for time workouts I really enjoy, like 5 rounds for time, 200 meter row, and 10 burpees, and I usually do it in about 8 minutes. And I used to do it quite often, and I never progressed that workout because I actually used to use it as a very quick 8-minute conditioning workout. So it really depends on your preference between AMRAPs and for time. AMRAP is much more, you have a much bigger range. For time, really, once you have no rest time, really it's the rounds you're choosing. John's saying, if I understand correctly, if you're already at 1-to-1 ratio during a HIIT workout, you should reduce to 1-to-5. 1-to-1.5, do you mean? John, if you're very, very comfortable with a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio, let's say you're exercising for 30 seconds and resting for 30 seconds. There's 2 things you can do. You can either reduce the rest time by, let's say, 10 seconds. So then you're going to work for 30 seconds, but then rest for only 20 seconds. So immediately now you've reduced the rest time. Or you can extend the work period to 40 seconds and keep the rest time at, say, 30 seconds. Or, actually there's loads of things you can do. Or you could just automatically go by a ratio of 1-to-1.5 where you would go 30 seconds work, 15 seconds, no, it's 1-to-3. 1-to-1.5. 1-to-1. Well, 1-to-1.5 on the rest, or we work to rest, will be 45 seconds rest. So 1-to-1.5 will be 45 seconds rest, 30 seconds. So your work is your first period, your rest is your second period. So if you're doing 30-30 and it's too easy, then you might do 30 seconds work, 15 seconds rest. Yeah? Something like that. Like we call them ratios, but I just play around with the rest time. So if 30 seconds is too easy, I usually reduce by 10-second increments with my rest time, because I find even 10 seconds will have a massive difference, and that's not an exact drop in ratio, so it's easier to play around with the rest time. But yeah, pretty much. And then guys, a circuit. So what's a circuit? Well, a circuit really is a HIIT workout with one or two or three, with two or more exercises. So what about Tabata 20 on 10 seconds rest? Yeah, well, Tabata, Annie, is a very specific. It's only 4 minutes work for 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest. So Tabata is 4 minutes of work, 20 seconds maximum effort, 10 seconds rest. Like, I see a lot of the time people are like, I did 3 Tabata workouts. You shouldn't be able to. If you did 1, that pretty much is bringing it to your max. So you should be doing 1 and bringing it to your max. So if you're doing Tabata is literally, it should be, you should only be able to do 1. If you can do more than 1, you're not doing Tabata. You're just splitting up your HIIT training. Circuit training, guys. Choose time period, 10, 15, 20 minutes, even 30 minutes. Choose exercise and reps, 12 squats, 20 press-ups, 10 pull-ups, 50-meter sprint, and then choose your rest time. So if your circuit takes a minute and a half, are you going to take a minute and a half rest? Or are you going to take work to rest? Why would I? 3 times? I have that the wrong way around, I think. So if you're doing, sorry guys, I have my ratios the wrong way around. Are you going to take a 1-to-1, a 2-to-1, or a 3-to-1 work to rest ratio? Because with circuits, generally you're going to take anywhere between the length of the circuit as a rest or reduce the rest time. But I have those ratios the wrong order. I'll have them right in the slide. Sorry about that, guys. That should be, let me just fix that now. Oh, discard. I did this the other day. Don't mind me, guys. I'm just, so I can explain it properly. I don't want to confuse you people. But when we do circuits, generally because the round would be quite long, 2 minutes up to 3 minutes, then what we're actually doing is either 1-to-1, 2-to-1, or 3-to-1. So there we go, all fixed. So your work to rest ratios are going to be either 1-to-1, 2-to-1, or 3-to-1, or somewhere around that. So if that round is taking 2 minutes, then your rest might be either 2 minutes, 1 minute, or 30 seconds. Yeah? So the less rest time you can take, the fitter and stronger you're getting. Yeah? Perfect. And then, guys, when it comes to different exercises, well, listen, aerobic exercises, running on the spot, jumping jacks, skipping at slow pace, shadow boxing, and any low impact aerobic exercise for your aerobic exercises. For your anaerobic exercises, kettlebell swings, burpees, box jumps, squat jumps, hill sprints, hard rowing, hard bike sprints, all of those are your anaerobic exercises, so you know when you're programming. And then your strength exercises, guys, your standard squat, deadlift, bench press, press up, pull-ups, shoulder press, single arm row, ab exercises, isolation exercises, any strength exercises. And you can mix them whatever way you want. Are you going to do a strength circuit? Are you going to do a aerobic circuit? Are you going to do an anaerobic circuit? Are you going to do an anaerobic strength circuit? Are you there's so many different ways you can do it. And that's it. The rewards of knowing how to program a little bit better, good for overall energy system development, efficient use of training time, brilliant for fat loss, and versatile for programming for many sports and for many different types of people and fitness levels. Hi, Jonathan. So do we do your cycle or treadmill last? I don't know what you mean, Yolanda. What do you mean by your cycle or treadmill last? A few questions, guys. We'll do 10 minutes of Q&A, 8 minutes of Q&A, and I got jump out of here. Yolanda, ask that question again, will you? I'm not sure what you're saying with your cycle treadmill last, as in, in a circuit, like. Depends on what circuit you're doing. If you're doing if you're kind of working up to the harder exercise or starting with the harder exercise in the circuit. So tell me kind of what type of workout you mean and when to fit it in, but I can answer that for you. Laura saying thank you, but no questions. Am I just not seeing your questions, guys, or does no one have any questions? I would have thought there'd be a lot of questions after that programming. There's a lot of programming there. Oh, you must go. That's it. No problem, Laura. Have a good one. Enjoy your evening. Any questions, guys? How do I know what type of exercises to mix in my circuits? It depends on what you're looking to do. So essentially, if you're trying to get more strength development, then a lot of your circuits will be more strength-based circuits. Whereas if you're trying to improve your energy levels, you might do a mix of strength and aerobic or anaerobic. And if you're training for a specific sport, if you're trying to get better at, say, jog, sprint, then you'll do aerobic, anaerobic. So that's kind of that. Wendy, I'm a little confused about EMOM. Let me go back to that then. So EMOM is kind of more intermediate, advanced level, Wendy. So say someone is trying to get better at a specific exercise. So say they're just struggling with pull-ups or struggling with a weighted squat, and they just can't really develop it. Then you might throw in this 2 times a week and you do 10 minutes every minute on the minute. So you might do 5 pull-ups every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. So the 5 pull-ups might take you 20 seconds. You rest for 40 seconds, and you literally keep doing that for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And it helps you essentially get a lot of stimulus in the same exercise to help. It's like practicing over and over again. Yeah, so it's like if you were playing guitar and you just kept playing the chord G because you couldn't get it in the song. So then you just took a practice session where you were just trying to get the chord G. So generally we use it for an exercise we're trying to get specifically good at. You could do it if you're just struggling with squats and just do like 10 squats, rest for 20 seconds, 10 squats, rest for 20 seconds, and it will be a HIIT style workout as well. Like it is a HIIT style workout, but it's a HIIT style workout that allows you to develop one exercise. Makes sense now, brilliant. When he says aerobic exercise again, anaerobic, sorry, there you go. Anaerobic exercise again, there is the slide, but of course I'll have the slides ready for you guys to download. Kettlebell swings, burpees, box jumps, squat jumps, hill sprints, hard shadow boxing, hard pad work, rowing, any type of, like star jumps, any type of jumping. Is there any specific exercise a person who's pregnant should or should not do? Yes, Annie. Through your different trimesters, did Sarah not cover that in the last lesson, Annie? I think there was pre and postnatal, or did she cover prone and supine? Essentially, you shouldn't do, from your second trimester on, you're not really going to be doing ab exercises. You're not really going to do any positions where you're lying in your belly or lying on your back. So a lot of it will be seated or a slight incline position or standing exercises. And then not big heavy exercises increasing intensity. So essentially from your second trimester, no exercises on your front or back, pretty much seated, incline or standing. Yeah? No crazy intense exercises because you start to reduce the intensity. Make sense? 2 minutes, guys. Less HIIT for older people, question mark. Yeah, Gordon, so what you're going to do is, again, and I used to train a 75-year-old guy who would literally do an hour with me, and we used to do circuit training, but we just took it at his pace. So he knew his own pace. So the big one here is to never go, you judge your body best. I would err on the side of caution with your rest time. Make sure you're pretty much recovering fully in your rest time. But then the work periods are challenging enough, but not to the point where they're spiking your heart rate in 5 seconds. So, you're looking for moderate intensity work for 30 seconds and recovering in your rest times. Or if you're doing circuits, probably longer in between your exercise transitions to make sure your heart rate's not spiking too much. And you may be, in circuits, probably no more than 2 exercises in a row. That's what we used to do. I used to also do just couplets in a circuit and make sure the rest time was good enough to make sure heart rate wasn't spiking too much. The rest of it you can really judge yourself. The rest of it you can definitely judge yourself. But don't go crazy intense. Don't go anything that feels way too uncomfortable. Kind of generally the same rules as everyone else, especially if you're in good shape. I have 4 exercises in my HIIT training: skipping, jumping jacks, weighted thrusters, and 60 pounds floor presses. Need other alternatives. John, give me an email and tell me what your week looks like. I can give you a bit of an outline. Yolanda says, yes, when you do HIIT strength first and want to do aerobics after. Definitely HIIT strength first, and then if you want to do a little bit of extra aerobic activity afterwards, do it afterwards. You always want to save, if you're doing anything strength-based, do it first, because you want to save your most energy to make sure your technique is good, you're getting good muscle stimulus, you've good energy, because your aerobic system can work when your muscles are fatigued, but sometimes your muscles won't work if you've massively fatigued your aerobic system. Mina, which exercises are good for beginners? So in the aerobic, running on the spot, jumping jacks, shadow boxing for your aerobic for beginners. So these for your beginners. Pointer options. Beginner. These are really good. In these, like hill sprints at a slower pace, you can slowly increase your rowing. Bike sprints because they're low impact. Then maybe into soft squat jumps eventually, once you've no back injuries. And then with strength exercises, squats, press-ups, all the easy versions, shoulder press, single arm row, plank crunches, and then some isolation work, tricep extensions. That makes sense? You can rewatch that if you need to. If my back isn't getting sore, does that mean I'm not working hard enough? Oh God, no, Wendy. Just because you're not getting sore doesn't mean you're not working hard enough. It means that you're just not doing exercises unaccustomed anymore. Delayed onset muscle soreness is from exercises you're not used to. Once you have a good training routine, you're not going to get sore every single week. So don't worry about that. Once you really feel like the muscle's working in the workout, that's what you're getting. Guys, I've got to run out here. Got to teach a foundation lesson straight after. So I will see you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Ask me whatever you need in the email as usual, guys. And remember,